Saoirse! Saoirse! Come! Good girl! Hello everyone, welcome to the Pelagos channel. And today I have a nice story about a watch. Will it be my last watch? Was it my first watch? You'll find out soon. But now, just look at beautiful Ireland. It's so good here. Beautiful. Let me show you the other side and zoom in a little bit. It's getting a bit hazy. Hello and welcome! Oh no, that's another channel. So, hi everyone, this is Guido Pelagos from the Pelagos channel in my backyard. This is the third time I'm making this video today. The first time I made it horizontally, and when I showed the watch, I showed it upside down. The second time I made this video, I had I just had a cup of coffee, and I held the lid like this, and I had this really brown piece of coffee on my nose. It was a really nice video, but the piece of brown on my nose really detracted from staying alert to see the video anyway. So this is the third. Well, I tried a third time and I got fed up. It's like, I'm not going to tell this story a third time. So we're a few hours on now, and I'm going to give it another try. So let's try today. I got my jacket on by now because it's getting a little bit colder, but you know, it's dry. The weather is kind of nice, so I think I should give it another try. So there we go. This watch with the crazed dial, I'm not sure if you can see it, but this watch was the watch that I bought when I was 17 or 18 in Caracas. I lived in Caracas from 1997 to 1998 as an exchange student, and I had a couple of watches before that, but I went into an antique shop and I saw two watches. There was a green Longines vintage and this Omega. And I asked the guy, how much is it? And it's 150 euros. And I was like, $150. And I was like, oh, okay, it's a lot of money because I didn't have any money in my teens, 20s, or 30s anyway. But I was able to buy it. And I got it home. And after 15 minutes, it stopped working. And I found out it actually needs a service. Well, 8 months later, I was living in Holland again, in a little town called Heilo. And that's where I brought this in for a service. And it cost me, I think the service cost me like 200 guilders, which is about $100 nowadays. About 100 euros, around that money. So it was a lot of money for me to do so. I had to save up. But then I had a really good Omega watch. Naive as I was, I thought, you know, it's an Omega, so you can do anything with it. So you can just, wash your hands, do the dishes and whatever. So, yeah, at one point, probably some water came in, so I had to get it serviced again. Cost me another 150 guilders. And then I think it broke down. It worked for a couple of months, a couple of years, and it broke down again. And then I was living in Haarlem in 2004, I guess. And I brought it again for a service. And it was way before I started doing the whole collection stuff, like almost 10 years before I started doing the collecting. And I brought it to a Haarlem watchmaker. And this watchmaker, he said, okay, I can repair it for you. It will cost you 160 guilders. And I was like, okay, it's a lot of money, but okay. And I went to his web shop. And I saw on his website that he was also selling new watches. And I actually sent him a message saying, look, I see 160 euro Citizen new. You can keep the Omega watch, because I thought I have to service it for the rest of my life. You can keep the Omega watch and I'll have a 160 euro Citizen from your web shop. And he wrote me an email back saying, no, I'm going to make you your watch. You're going to pick up your watch. I'm going to pay for it. That's all fine. And oh my God, I'm still so thankful that he did that he understood that would have been one of the biggest regrets I've ever made doing watchmaking, that I would have let this watch go to get a 160 euro Citizen that wouldn't be any worth anything today, valuable wise or personal value wise. So really, really happy that he understood my naivete, and I'm so happy. I think the guy's in his 90s if he's even alive today. So even beyond the grave, I would like to thank him from the bottom of my heart to say, no, this watch is going to be repaired and you're going to get it back. Thank you so much. Actually, talking about naivete, when I had this watch in 1999, I think I was 19 or 20, I didn't know any jack shit about watches. I actually sent an email to Omega, Switzerland or something, saying, look, I got an Omega, and if it's not serviced, this Omega's going to die. Hoping that they would say, all right, send it up to Switzerland, we'll repair it for you for free, and we'll send it to you back. I guess we all do stupid things. That was kind of stupid when you think about it afterwards. But, you're naive, you're young, and you think like, oh, all right, we'll try it anyway. So, long story short, 2014, I moved to Wormerveer, Zaanstad, and actually, when I moved to Haarlem, I had put this away in a mug where I had paintbrushes in, because I wanted to hide it for all the people helping me moving my stuff. And I actually forgot that I put it in there. So this watch was actually lost for about, I think like 4 years or something before I found it again. And I found it again, and when somebody needed a paintbrush, and I picked the mug, and I was like, oh my God, on the bottom of the mug was actually this watch. And I was like, oh my God, it's back. I once had that with a card, but I'll tell you that story for another time. But so I finally got it back, and but through the years, it fell a couple of times. I tried to repair the bracelet at one point. That went horrifically wrong because I didn't know anything about repairing watches, let alone bracelets, or the other way around. So the bracelet was fucked. The crown just disappeared. Came off at one point, disappeared. The watch itself fell a couple of times. So this is the only thing that I have left of that watch, of this watch, and it always bothered me, right? So I got the Tudor Pelagos, I got all the other watches and stuff, and this was never repaired. This was always the watch that I couldn't repair. Well, I could repair it, of course, although that's what I thought, but it's going to cost a lot of money because I checked what a bracelet would cost, service would cost. And like I said, I didn't have much money that time. So, come 2021, I sold my house, and it made a lot of money in 7 years' time. So I was able to sell it, get the camper, drive around Europe, and get this house here in Ireland with this beautiful garden. That's only one part. And then I was like, you know what? Because now my money's gone, so I have to work very hard to be able to live here. But I did have a couple of thousand left at that time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get my vintage Omega serviced. So this is the vintage Omega, my first watch. That always was like the splinter in my mind, in my brain, saying, you got to get this watch repaired. It's your first proper watch. This is your watch. This is where it all started. When you were 17 and you were living, or 18, you were living in Caracas. So I brought this watch, the Dutch Day Connie from 1969, and this watch, this 1973-1974 1012 Genève Omega with the burgundy crazed spider dial because of the age, cracked dial. I brought it under false name to my former employer, a watch service shop. The watchmakers there are really great, but the customer service, I worked in there, and I worked with two witches who were probably in the menopause, and I've worked many places, but this was the only time that I ever was in a company working there, realizing that these two people really did not like me and did not want me there and did everything in their power to try to get rid of me. Well, too bad for them that I made it through my whole contract, working really, really hard, and then was able to move out myself because I sold everything and started driving. Anyway, so under a false name, I had a friend of mine in Holland bring these two watches for a service. Now, I got a quote back on this watch. It has a quick set date if you pull it twice out, and that was broken. So a part had to come from Switzerland, and it was going to cost me 750 euros. So 750 euros to get this watch repaired. And I was like, you know what? Do it. because I can't afford it at that time. You know, get it serviced because it's a beautiful watch. It's probably my most special watch, and yeah, get it serviced, and I'll see what else. And then they came back with the estimate for this one, and they said, look, we can't repair this watch. It's beyond repair, simply because there's no crown, there's no bracelet. The movement is broken inside, or a lot of parts have to be replaced. So either, if we even can get the parts still from Switzerland, from Omega, then it's going to be really expensive. Then it has to be serviced. So either, if we can even repair it, it's going to cost thousands. Or you find yourself a donor watch that you can use to get this repaired. And otherwise, we're not going to touch it. So, sorry, pick this one up and we'll have this serviced. So I only had this one serviced, which is running still really great. Like I said, it always kept in the back of my mind. I have all these other watches. They're great. But this watch I was never able to get this back on the wrist because it's just beyond repair. And I checked a couple of times in the last couple of years, Chrono 24, is there something I can do? Is there a donor watch? And I found a few donor watches, but most of them were too good to be used as a donor. They were too expensive. I do see them coming in with a silver dial, green dial, a gold plated, or a black dial even, but not really with a burgundy dial, which I just liked and wanted to use. And then lo and behold, 2 weeks ago I was on Chrono 24, and I found this watch. It's the exact same watch, burgundy. Also, this one has a crazed spider dial. And this watch is actually in quite good condition. This has been serviced in 2024. It didn't cost me an arm and a leg, and I could use this as a donor watch to get this watch repaired. However, as this watch is such a good nick, I got my first watch ever, which I can still, in the future, if this has to go for a service, ask, like, could you put this dial in this watch? And then just use the pieces of both movements to make one original Franken watch from the same Omega. So this 1012 from 1973, 1974, I came from Portugal, and I saw it and I was like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. I'll have to buy this. This is perfect. So my first watch, and maybe my last watch, I came full circle, people. I finally am able to wear my first watch again in a new version, or in the same version, however you want to call it. It's kind of a romantic thing, I would say, and I'm really, really happy that I got both watches now. And it is for me the same watch. If I wear this, I feel like I'm wearing this. So perhaps in the future I will see if I can get this dial in here, because the crackling on this dial I like better than on this one. I'm not sure if you could even see that. Yeah, you can see it a little bit like that. And this one has the same. I'm not sure if you can. Anyway, what a story. So, is this going to be the last watch I'll ever buy and use? I wish it would. It probably isn't. But I'll keep myself to the romantic idea that it is, because how better to get full circle, to get your first watch that you couldn't get repaired, find it again, and be able to wear it again as your first watch. So, that's the story about, is this my last watch? I don't know. But I thought it's a nice story. And it's a beautiful watch. It's the TV Omega. It's a fantastic watch. Sorry, guys, I was working in the garden. I can see the dirt under my nails. But it's better than a lot of coffee on your nose, I can tell you that. Oh, my God. But now with the sun going down, it actually has a little bit of a nice glow on it as well. So that's it. The Omega Vintage Genève 1973, 1974 caliber 1012. Beautiful watch. And it wears nice as well. It's a really good looker. And let me just get the eDocs off. That's a nice watch. Really looks good. It's a kind of a dressy, and it's a good size. It's like 36 millimeter. And I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this thing. Alright, guys. Hope you liked that story of the first and the last watch I'll ever own. Whatever. Okay, guys. Thanks. Ciao, bye. Get it up. Come on. There you go. It's getting hazy. Yeah. I love that dog.